Hello everyone, welcome to episode 7 of Death Valley Discoveries. I'm leaving the North Highway behind on a solo hike up into the Grapevine Mountains to visit Tunnel Bridge Canyon. This was a hike that I first did on March 13th, 2010, along with my friend Charlie, who is also the Death Valley Wilderness Coordinator. As we head into this canyon, I'm going to be sharing 2 very special co-discoveries with you. Credit for these co-discoveries goes to myself, Charlie, and Alan. And the 2 discoveries are Tunnel Bridge and White Slickenside. So I look forward to telling you more about both of these as we get closer to them. It's actually quite a long approach to the canyon. It's 2.5 miles from the road to the first narrows of Tunnel Bridge Canyon. The approach to Tunnel Bridge Canyon doesn't start off all that well. A lot of drainage crossings, walking on uncomfortable rocks. And if you're wondering exactly where in the Grapevines I am, I'm actually just 1 canyon west of Rocknettle Canyon, which was seen in an earlier Death Valley Discoveries video. So the area is basically in between Redwall Canyon and Moonlight Canyon, if you're looking for officially named canyons. The wash has gotten slightly better as I've continued hiking up the fan. Much smoother surfaces to walk across. It is quite windy today out here. Something very common, of course, but a chill in the air because it's the month of January. So the wind just adds to that. But in some ways that's better for hiking. Definitely prefer this type of weather over extreme heat. Now that I've gone over 1 mile and gained over 500 feet in elevation, I just want to show you where I am. Looking in this direction is the entrance to Crescent Bridge Canyon, and then straight ahead here is the entrance into Tunnel Bridge Canyon. Continuing around, we have Rocknettle Canyon, Sunlight Canyon, and Gallery Canyon. All informal names, but well known and documented. And looking over this way, we can see into Redwall Canyon as well as Mount Palmer above it. And then on down toward Little Arches Canyon, Palmer Canyon, the Cauldron, Fall Canyon, Titus Canyon. And then looking out into the valley. Across the way here we can see Tuckeye Mountain. I can actually see Telescope Peak, Leaning BM, as well as Dry Bone Canyon, and up into Grave Canyon in the Cottonwood Mountains. The terrain here on the Upper Canyon fan has become more of a jumbled mess. Some deeply cut drainages, and the flat areas above the wash are what I'm trying to stay on, but they have been varying between good and bad. It's been a fairly demanding approach here climbing up this fan, but really enjoying my time here in the Grapevine Mountains. This is my most hiked mountain range in Death Valley National Park, so that should tell you something. Following closely behind the Grapevines are the Owl's Head Mountains, but spent so much time here, really love this range. This right here shows the mouth of Tunnel Bridge Canyon. Notice how it takes shape right here with some conglomerate walls of fairly large height. I'm going to scramble down into it now. Just walked up the ridge a little more. Look at this awesome view looking up Tunnel Bridge Canyon. Worth a little bit extra walking to see this view. That proved to be a little bit challenging Had to walk back actually about 10 minutes before I could drop down into the canyon. There was just barely high enough walls that I couldn't get down. I finally made it, and I'm officially in Tunnel Bridge Canyon now. Here's a look at the early conglomerate walls with freshly collapsed canyon wall. You can see why conglomerate walls collapse eventually. Notice the undercut. So when there's flash flooding, water flows down here at a rapid pace and undercuts the canyon wall. Over many years that will keep happening, and the wall, portion of the wall, will collapse into the wash. Here's an example of a very deep undercut of the wall. Kind of a neat collapse of a shallow canyon wall right here. The boulders spread far out into the wash. Those are the cliffs right there I was standing on to get the view. And this is the view as I'm heading up canyon here. Passing by some absolutely towering walls here in the lower canyon. Very impressive. Some really nicely defined mud drips with the lighter coloring in the background right here. Mud drips curve under the rock and then just continue flowing on down as it straightens out again. I've just entered the first narrows of Tunnel Bridge Canyon. The canyon walls come together into a beautiful short slot. Now there is a bit of a tricky climb at the end of the first narrows, so some in my groups in the past have chosen to bypass it. I'll show you what that looks like. But just outside the canyon mouth, you can turn off to the right and kind of climb up to the hillside and get past that obstacle in the first narrows. Here is the massive boulder dry fall. Looking back down the first narrows. I'm going to turn and continue heading up canyon. As I do, look at the walls right here, the texture. It's really cool looking. At this spot in Tunnel Bridge Canyon, I'm about 2.7 miles into the hike. And it's another 1.1 miles to Tunnel Bridge. But leading up to Tunnel Bridge, some nice canyon, which I'll be sharing along the way. This right here is not a canyon wall, but it's what I label as the second dry fall of Tunnel Bridge Canyon. Just kind of a long pour off that's easy to climb up over here at this end, with the canyon continuing just above it. One of the characteristics of this canyon is beautiful rock, especially further up the canyon, but even look at this example right here, these patterns. Check this out. This is brand new since I last hiked this canyon 2 years ago. See all this collapsed canyon wall? But came off of right there. But look up a little higher. A brand new arch in the canyon after the portion of wall collapsed. Let me zoom in a little bit. A really neat new feature here in Tunnel Bridge Canyon. It really shows how canyons are constantly changing. To have a brand new arch heading up canyon. Here's another small arch above the left side canyon wall. I think that's always been there. A little bit of a constriction in the canyon right here. Right here, this is the third dry fall. Fairly easily bypassed. I usually just pop up on these ledges here and work my way up and around. Up and over the dry fall. One of the impressive features in this canyon is this pinnacle rising high above out of the canyon wall. As I'm looking right here at this canyon wall, it kind of hangs over like Tunnel Bridge does, with the same type of rock about 8 feet over into the wash. I can't help but wonder if there used to be a second tunnel connecting these two sides. Check out this alcove or canyon wall. It's hanging over the wash a good 15 to 20 feet at its farthest point. Right here, I've reached the junction with Tunnel Bridge main side canyon. And right here, I'm continuing up canyon. I'm very close to Tunnel Bridge now. It's kind of just around the corner up ahead. Well, I made it here to Tunnel Bridge right behind me. And we came up with the name Tunnel Bridge because when we first walked through it, it's such a long passage that it was like walking through a tunnel. In fact, estimates place Tunnel Bridge to be about 50 feet in length. So it was truly fitting to name it Tunnel Bridge. Now go ahead and join me as I walk through Tunnel Bridge, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more after I get to the other side. discovered Tunnel Bridge on March 13th, 2010, it proved to be quite an inspiring hike to others, because this was the 9th major natural bridge to be discovered in Death Valley National Park. But then it kind of led to like an intense search for natural bridges over the next decade. But this is what kind of started it all. Tunnel Bridge being co-discovered here back in 2010. At this point, I'm continuing up Tunnel Bridge Canyon about another half mile to show you White Slickenside. And White Slickenside is equally as impressive as a natural feature as Tunnel Bridge is. I'll explain more about that as we get up to it. This is where the canyon gets tricky, and the 4th major dry fall is just ahead, which can't be climbed. So what I usually do here is just start heading up this little red gully and get up on the hillside a little bit. The red gully has fairly stable footing, like a natural staircase. So it's a good start to a bypass. Working my way across the bypass, a little bit challenging, definitely not for everyone. Just about completed the bypass, but I want to show you here the major dry fall that was bypassed, which caused all that trouble. So this is the 4th major dry fall heading up canyon. And here's what the canyon looks like up ahead. White Slickenside is just around the corner. It's actually partially in view from here. Some nice color variations on the canyon wall here as we get into the upper canyon. I'm at the point in the canyon where I can fully see White Slickenside up ahead. Can't wait to get up to it. The canyon walls here in the upper canyon are absolutely epic in height. This right here is White Slickenside, said to be the largest slickenside found in Death Valley National Park. I'm so happy that on that day back in 2010 we continued up canyon past Tunnel Bridge and then ended up finding this beautiful spot. Let me show you some more views of White Slickenside because it looks especially impressive from above. I'm actually going to stop right here. This is White Slickenside. There's a major dry fall right here. I climbed about halfway up it, but the second half looks too sketchy for me trying to do this solo. So I think this is a good place to stop. I've been further up this canyon until there is a truly impassable dry fall, but I think better to be safe out here solo and not attempt any climbing that is risky in any way. A little bit hard to leave White Slickenside behind for me. This canyon's so special to me with Tunnel Bridge and White Slickenside, and who knows if I'll ever hike up here again. Hope so, but it's a full day of hiking to get up here and check these features out. And as I was just reminded, getting to White Slickenside is not easy with the bypass and then the major dry fall right around White Slickenside, which would definitely put a stop to most hikers. Got through that bypass, only took me about 10 minutes to get around the bypass. And short time later, here I am walking through Tunnel Bridge. Once again, enjoying this last walkthrough here. I climbed the ridge above Tunnel Bridge Canyon. This is the view into Tunnel Bridge Canyon. Very nice. And just going over this way, here is a view of the Tunnel Bridge main side canyon. Equally as impressive from right here. Check this out. It made climbing this ridge all worth it. I found a Desert 5 spot in bloom in January. Continuing to climb the ridge, you can see I'm quite a bit higher above the canyon, and I could see down into the lower canyon from here and out at some dust storms occurring across Mesquite Flat. Really nice view here from the ridge looking up Tunnel Bridge's main side canyon. You can see some towering narrows. Looks like dry fall either right there or around the bend, but you can also see above it the upper canyon. Right here I'm getting a better view of those dust storms blowing across Mesquite Flat down toward Stovepipe Wells in central Death Valley. Really cold and windy climbing this ridge, but I have an objective in mind, so giving it a shot. Really nice walking across this ridge with Crescent Bridge Canyon in the distance, and that's on the left side, and on the right side, upper Tunnel Bridge main side canyon. I absolutely love this view of Tunnel Bridge main side canyon, the upper canyon, the towering, colorful peaks of the grapevines above the canyon. Really pretty viewpoint right here. I accomplished my first objective, which I didn't figure out until today was going to be the plan, but I made it up to this mini summit, 2947T on the topo map. It's kind of a special little peak for me because it's in between Tunnel Bridge main side canyon and Crescent Bridge Canyon. So being how much I love this area of the grapevines, just having the views from right there was very worth it and spectacular. This is the view down into Crescent Bridge Canyon. Look at those sharp ridges on the canyon wall there. What I'm going to do now is head down and try to get into Crescent Bridge Canyon as my second objective, to actually do a loop hike today. The footing going down this is quite nice. And I like that the slope is not extremely steep. All right, I did it. I just completed the crossover from Tunnel Bridge Canyon to Crescent Bridge Canyon. Something that who knows may not have ever been done before. A little bit tricky when I got to the bottom, but I got through it. And now I'll tell you about Crescent Bridge Canyon as I begin hiking down toward Crescent Bridge, which is about a half-mile away. This is, I believe, my 4th time hiking in Crescent Bridge Canyon. And there's going to be lots of narrows to check out. There's a reason that I've come back here as many times as I have. Wow, even look at this, just getting started in the canyon. This is quite beautiful. The lighting appears to be perfect in here right now. Look at the color of these walls. Right up here in the canyon, it used to be a spot where you would have to crawl through it. Let's see if flood debris has changed that. Wow. That would be a tight crawl. Here's the other side of that. Yeah, it was too tight to crawl through at this point, but I just climbed right over it. Look at these walls, love this. Crescent Bridge and Crescent Bridge Canyon was discovered by a hiker named Robbie in the spring of 2011. My first visit to Crescent Bridge Canyon was 1 year later. I came through here on March 11th of 2012. And other than Crescent Bridge, which we'll talk about a little later, the special thing about this canyon are the towering slot narrows. Definitely very impressive with textures, overhangs, formations. Look forward to sharing that with you as I hike down canyon. Oh, this is something else. Look at this. Whoa. Talk about a cave and undercut. It gets really dark in here. Got some fallen canyon walls here. Kind of eerie walking through here, being so enclosed by conglomerate rock. Take a look back here. What I just went through. Now that's what I call an incredible set of narrows. Wow, Crescent Bridge Canyon. Such a special place here in the Grapevine Mountains. Canyon is opening up just a bit through here. The walls are still glowing. Late afternoon sunshine in the canyon. Really cool canyon wall there just ahead. The canyon has just narrowed down once again. The set of narrows you saw me walk through earlier, those are the second narrows of Crescent Bridge Canyon. And I believe I'm getting ready to head into the first narrows. Here's a neat spot where the waterfall has undercut the canyon. And then just looking up, the wall is really overhanging high above. This undercut is so big and deep that you can just walk right under it. And here's another undercut and overhang, along with beautiful canyon walls just beyond. I'm just about to walk through Crescent Bridge. Notice the boulder jam up there, kind of wedged halfway down, falling into the canyon. As I walk through Crescent Bridge, notice the curves and the lines on the wall. It almost gives a dizzy feeling. Right here is Crescent Bridge. This is Crescent Bridge, as mentioned earlier, discovered in the spring of 2011 by a hiker named Robbie. But I really like this major natural bridge. Just the setting here at the front, the way the bridge is shaped. And then back when you walk under the bridge and through the passageway behind it, just those curves on the wall with the lines. Really neat place. As I get ready to depart from Crescent Bridge, let me share with you one final view, what it feels like to walk through this spectacular place. Okay, I'm finally leaving Crescent Bridge behind, and I got my work cut out for me. From here, from Crescent Bridge to the parking area is 3.5 miles. Show you the rest of the first narrows here as I hike out. This lower part of the canyon is quite nice. Still some sunshine on the canyon walls down here. Kind of a cool surface to walk on here. Indeed, very cool rock here. Enjoying the sunshine on the canyon walls while it lasts. The canyon has opened up quite wide here, so I'm heading down towards the mouth. The wash is very uncomfortable to walk through. Very slow going. I'm sure it'll get smoother a little further down. Indeed, the wash has gotten a lot better as I get really close to the mouth of the canyon. So I'll be making a lot better progress now. I should probably wrap up this video while there is still sunlight out. Really appreciate you joining me for Death Valley Discoveries episode 7, featuring Tunnel Bridge White Slickenside, and then the bonus, the crossover to Crescent Bridge Canyon. Truly a lot of beauty to see out here. These two hikes that I did are generally hiked separately as day hikes. So I've never obviously combined the two into one hike. But I'm glad I was able to today, because it just made for an outstanding day as usual here in the Grapevine Mountains. I'll show you a little bit footage to wrap up as I come out of the canyon here. But until next time, see you later.